Excellent. Here we are.
Yes.
So this is a bit different. This came about from one of our early morning walks where we're catching up. I'm asking your advice on a few things, and we're just literally shooting the breeze around what we have been reading, listening to, or watching. And we started to talk about Gen Z.
Yes.
And so that left me in my normal way going, if I found that super interesting, then I'm sure our connections and community will too. So Patrick, thank you so much for giving us your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
You're a super busy man and you're insightful in so many things. Currently the Director of HR APAC, also a qualified psychologist and an executive coach. Everything to do with people, behavior, but also having a really sound commercial nuance on things, having worked for multinational FMCGs throughout your whole career. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Emily Wilson. I'm the Managing Director of FutureYou. We set up this business with the sole purpose, the power to connect. So making meaningful introductions to enable personal and business growth. One of our core values is for the greater good. And this morning is an example of that. Sharing some insights, having a general conversation that will hopefully leave you with a couple of pointers or even just the energy to go and find out something more about the topic that we're discussing. So this morning is the leadership rewrite, navigating generation change in the age of Gen Z. So what I'm going to start off with is some data around the generations. So Patrick, you are on the cusp. I have already learned that this morning. So you are on the cusp between Gen X and a millennial. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, excellent. So last year, the Australian workforce in 2025, there was 20 to 22% of baby boomers in the workforce, which is 1946 born up until 1964. Last year in the Australian workforce, 30 to 32% were Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980. That's me. And then 32 to 35% of the workforce is Gen Y, or also known as millennials. I don't know why they have two titles, but they do. And that's 1981 up until 1996. And then Gen Z, which is what we're talking about this morning, is 1997 born up until 2012. Then the next coming generation after that is Generation Alpha, which is 2013 born up until 2025. So at the moment, last year, 20% of Australia's workforce were Generation Z.
Yes. Yes.
So
1 in 5. So it's an interesting time. We could have almost 4, if not 5 generations within the workplace. So it is a challenging time, but an exciting time in terms of leadership, and also the way that will influence our workplaces moving forward and the experience for everyone.
Complex.
So, certainly complex.
Yeah.
But certainly rich in terms of experience, insight, knowledge, and now with AI being permeating our lives and the workplace, who knows what it will look like in the next 10 years.
Yeah, an adventure.
Certainly an adventure.
Okay, so where we start is the persona of Gen Z.
Yes.
So how would you describe the Gen Z characteristics? I know it's a generalization, but we've got some good ones.
Yeah. Well, I think the first thing to consider is, they've come through the financial crisis. They've come through COVID. They're in a cost of living crisis now. So there's certainly, a generation that's concerned about, financial outcomes. More than half of them, that's a real big concern for them.
Yes.
And, when you consider them in the workplace, things like purpose, meaningful work are important to them. They are a skills generation, not so much interested in leadership. They're more about their skills, their value, their worth. They are feedback, driven in real time, which, often is a hard thing to do. But with all the different channels that they have from a digital fluency point of view, it means that they're always there looking for that kind of feedback in real time, that kind of actualization on their performance. They're bringing rise to the portfolio careers, or what we know as, I guess, side hustles.
Yeah.
These are a generation that's monetizing their skills faster than any other generation before us. And they're certainly one that embraces psychological safety.
Yes.
One of the things as a psychologist, I'm seeing a lot of Gen Zs who are really confident, but also articulate around their mental health.
Yes.
So flexibility, mental health and well-being, certainly a priority for them.
Yes.
And, for generations like myself, giving up sleep and well-being and all of those things, I'm learning a lot from that generation in terms of that prioritization. So
Nice.
plenty to learn from there. And they're also, it goes without saying, they're tech-driven.
Yes.
The workforce has an adoption rate of AI or technology at about maybe 40%, but the Gen Z population itself is, well beyond 70% in terms of,
huge difference.
Yeah, taking on tech, but also using it as a prime modality for learning.
Yes.
Which is incredible. So I think they're covering more knowledge than we would ever cover in a short span of time.
Yeah. And then I also learned from our conversation prior to this one this morning is that Gen Z are the first generation who will not be ahead in terms of formal academic qualifications.
Yeah, there's certainly a narrative where the generations, that are following each other tend to exceed each other from a cognitive or educational performance perspective. And Gen Z are the first not to do that.
Yes.
And the same goes with financial performance and some other kind of socioeconomic factors. And it could be, part of it looking at, what their views are on traditional education, what their views are on the traditional workplace and the career path. So, certainly in my experience, they're more solution focused, less focused about their job titles per se, more worried about, what's meaningful for them.
Yes.
Their skills, what are their skills worth?
Yeah.
And we can certainly see it from a talent trend in terms of the way that they're navigating the workforce. So
yes,
I'm sure you're seeing some of that come through.
Yeah, we are definitely. So now we've sort of understood broadly their characteristics. I wanted to turn it to how we actually attract them into the workforce, because that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. So how do we attract them, and what are the challenges for Gen Z in terms of the steep decline of number of graduate job opportunities in the last 12 months, which is it's 26% we found out this morning.
Yes, globally. Yeah. Entry-level roles between 0 and 2 years experience down across the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how we attract, for me, I mean, we have interns in FutureYou. I've just placed my 4th graduate, which has come about from placing an executive level leader, actually often one of their children. They referred to me, and I love doing that mentoring piece. And then I introduce them to another business to create an opportunity if it works, which is exciting, and I love it. And then it's observing what is important to that Gen Z during that process. The number one thing is the employee value proposition. So the amplification of the people within the business, the purpose, the vision and values when they go and try and find it. If it's not a household name, what can they find social media wise to be attracted to about it, to actually care about it? Yeah.
And what are you finding in terms of the process and interaction themselves, like as in the platforms that you use to interact with them or to attract them? Are you seeing any trends there for Gen Z?
All of them have happened to be doing processes that are 100% remote and by video for the big end of town. So multinational organizations not doing face-to-face graduate recruitment, which is very, very low touch. And I often think it's about a performance when it's on video, rather than actually the feedback that I'm getting from Gen Z is they want to be able to interview the hiring person as much as they're being interviewed. So not even it being seen as an interview, more of an exploratory conversation around, this is the current state of our business, this is the future state, this is what we want you to be a part of. Tell me about yourself, and it being a real human first conversation rather than an interview. But all of the processes they're involved with are the complete opposite.
So it's more of an equitable process.
Yeah.
So it's not just them that needs to perform, it's the organisation itself, its representatives, the leaders, providing an opportunity for them. And I feel that's really important because if I'm Gen Z, I'd have some, we looked at the stats, I'd have some anxiety about entering the workforce.
Yeah.
The challenges with low entry points, the challenges with financial constraints, and then, some of the workplaces we find today are still traditional in the
Yes.
way that they have job titles and structures and what have you. So in that regard, if I'm someone who is constantly upskilling myself, constantly looking to monetize my skills, to find value in market, I may find that this process may be difficult for them.
Yes.
Any experience on your end in terms of the feedback from Gen Z in terms of recruitment?
Well, I just listen to the questions that I am asked.
Okay.
And the question that I get asked more than anything is what's the problems that this role that I'm having a conversation with them about is trying to solve? Like if there's 3 things this year that I'm going to be measured on, what are those 3 things?
Yeah.
Where still so many organizations are just focused on this huge long position description. But it's like, what are the challenges? What are the problems? Because I definitely see Gen Z as being running towards a problem, problem solvers, curious, rather than just example question, example question, example question on a PD.
Well, there's certainly a narrative around the future of work where we're moving away from traditional job titles, structures, and what have you, and looking at, hey, who are the individuals in our workplace who we can bring together to solve the biggest problems for our organization? And I honestly believe with the proliferation of AI and the changing pace at which we work, globalization, premiumization, all of those things will lead us to looking at, well, what are the biggest problems to solve?
Yes.
Especially when we start to automate or remove, some of the transactional, administrative type activity, at an AI level.
Yeah.
It means that we'll start to look strategically at bigger problems.
Yes.
And what are the biggest impacts on not only the community but also the individuals within the organizations? And that brings us back to that purpose. The Gen Z community are certainly very vocal in terms of how they feel across brands, organizations, and whilst there can be some narrative about resilience, I certainly feel that they're brave and they're willing to stand up for things they care about. As I mentioned before, things like psychological safety, how the workplace fits into their lives, and how it fits into their career and their own persona.
Yes.
And I guess one of the things to be fearful of from a health perspective is burnout.
Yes.
If I'm a Gen Z individual coming into the workplace and I'm seeing leaders and mentors, peers who are showing symptoms of burnout, naturally I may want to pull away from that.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, all right. So that leads us on to the part around once Gen Z has been attracted and secured, to retain them comes down to the role of the leader.
Yes.
Really. To retain them, to develop them. What do you think? How does that challenge or mean that we should be adapting as leaders to really engage the workforce?
Well, it certainly excites me because you've got workplaces now that have 4 generations, if not 5. So it's certainly not an easy thing to do. And so our leaders today would probably have to be far more adaptive than ever before and far more intuitive and inclusive in their language and far more engaged. And so like many generations, and I guess the millennials have led this way for the next generation around, or the Gen Z generation around, transparency and trust. And we're finding that that's really important to communicate with transparency and trust.
Yes.
And build that with that generation. The other side of it is with well-being and psychological safety comes empathy.
Yes.
So how do we really empathize with their situation? How do we help them bridge that gap between their value and their skills and the needs of the organization? So there's certainly a push and pull between the need for leadership skills and problem solving versus, the skills acquisition and the value that Gen Z see themselves in.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously, there's the AI adoption and tech adoption, so Gen Z are probably a little bit impatient in that regard.
Yes.
We want this to be something organizations are committing to.
Yeah.
And that's often a challenge.
Yeah.
And leaders will need to manage that conversation.
Yeah, yeah. You've got some amazing ideas about how to do that. And we talked about where we've both seen organizations have reverse mentoring
Yes.
So if there's 4 or 5 generations within an organization, having a mentor of another generation, to really create the diversity of thought and problem solving and forward thinking. Because if you've got a team of people who are aligned to the vision, understand the part they play, hopefully, similar value set, it's really that connectivity and engagement that is the thing that unlocks the capability, actually, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Together. Yeah.
Psychologically, I think that's really exciting.
Mm.
We have generations that can influence each other and learn from each other.
Yes.
You said that reverse mentoring. Certainly, if I had a workforce that had 20% of the Gen Z population within it, I'd be looking to them to accelerate, educate, support technology adoption within
Yes.
the organizations.
Yeah.
Certainly at an AI level.
Yeah.
And so, that would give them great purpose to actually share and then communicate across the generations.
Yes.
And that would certainly bring a more cohesive workforce together and alignment on purpose.
Nice.
So I see that as really exciting.
Yeah.
It's certainly a challenge. And like anything, it comes with confidence. The generations before, and even myself, from time to time, you find that some of the modalities, platforms, the way that we interact with Gen Z or even through AI on a day-to-day basis versus the workplace is very different. But it all comes with practice. It all comes with trial and error.
Yeah, and a sense of humour.
It does, yeah.
And the sense of humour. We were just laughing in the kitchen with Patrick. I've known him. We've known each other for many years, and I love the emojis. Love the emojis. Often I don't use words. Emoji, send. And I've got a couple of Gen Z in our team, and they're just no emojis whatsoever. And we have a laugh. We have a laugh about it. It's like, they'll send a meme or send me a video link from YouTube where I'm straight with the emojis, like different things.
Well, having a workplace and having a team where you can allow people to be inclusive in the way that gives them that safety to express themselves in different ways across different channels, I find important.
Yeah.
And I find that different generations have different preferences. Some prefer the phone call, others prefer to communicate with emojis.
Yeah.
Humor, memes, all of these things are changing the way that we interact with each other, it's changing the language.
Yes.
And I remember a time where we talked about how, text and acronyms in text change the way that we communicate, and now they're replaced by emojis.
Yeah, yeah. And surely are the best leaders the ones who can let people be themselves, in a confident, comfortable way, that's still respectful of the business framework, professionally courteous to the rest of the team, not expecting everyone else to behave in the same way, which is complex.
Yeah.
But
as a leader, how do you help people be themselves?
I love people being themselves. Yeah. Like I truly believe our customers are diverse.
Yes.
I believe we've got a diverse team, which enables us to run towards problems and solve them rather than all have the same mentality. My biggest problem is, I don't want everyone to think and feel the same things. I want them to, be curious. And I believe that Gen Z are really curious. They bring a positive energy towards continuous learning, which is, fantastic, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feelings of inclusion are always welcome by any generation.
Yeah.
And, if you're aiming to do that, giving them the opportunity to lead, to express themselves in ways that they feel confident is really important.
Yes.
But to also help everyone understand that these things are acceptable.
Yes.
Yes. And, for myself, environments where I feel I'm truly included or I can be myself is, through, my sense of humor, for example, through the way I'd like to express something, through the acceptance of the ways that people may accept my strengths,
yes,
but also my weaknesses.
Yes.
And I feel that, you mentioned diversity.
Yeah.
And it's a really important one because, we're seeing disparity across the world in terms of education, the adoption of AI and all of those type of things. So in many workplaces, diversity can be a strength.
Yes.
But it can also be a challenge and development area, especially when it comes to things like digital fluency and adoption.
Yes.
and same with that sense of purpose and meaning within the organisation.
Yes.
So there's a great need at pace for organisations to adapt themselves and redefine what inclusion looks like.
Yes.
What expression looks like for everyone.
Yeah, and learning from each other's strengths. We mentioned earlier about the 20% of Gen Z actually being the trainers of AI
Yes.
within the organization, which I know I'm jumping into that topic because I was actually just going to say, a couple of things that I've heard with non-Gen Z leaders in recruitment, sort of, why can't they just do the job they're doing without looking at what the next promotion is something that is said, which I understand. But I also think with Gen Z, they need to have a transparent, what are the goals I need to achieve? Where am I going? And they have been brought up in a world where everything through social media means their life is out in the public eye. And therefore, they compare themselves a lot more than we ever would. So although we say job title doesn't matter, like actually a lot of the time it does to a certain people, because they go, I'm only going to move for a certain job title because before, people used to say, I work for X company, and they're proud of the company, and they didn't ever really say the job they did. When now, people look at the role they did, what level they're at, and it seems to matter.
Yeah, and that's really interesting insight. I kind of take a lens on it where I think to myself, if more than half of that population, the Gen Z population, are concerned about their finances and financial well-being, maybe these titles, their preferences in the workplace, their decisions, their movements are all off the back of financial growth, job growth.
Yeah.
And so the proliferation of them, looking at monetizing their skills, looking at what the next role looks like, having those targets could be more a sense of that underlying anxiety about financial freedom.
Yes.
Which is really important.
Yes.
We often talk, and I believe it's probably a discussion with every generation around here in Australia, owning your own home and what does that look like, and what does investments look like? And I think, Gen Z are probably the most educated in the sense of having exposure to what financial freedom looks like in many different channels and modalities, and certainly with cryptocurrency and things like this coming into play. So I see some of these behaviors probably fueled by this.
Yes.
And you think to yourself, well, if I, put myself in their shoes, time for them is far more important. And they're probably not looking to work, 30, 40 years. They're looking to monetize their skills where they can have an experience and consider their well-being and other priorities in their lives.
But some might say they want it all. They want to earn as much as they possibly can.
Sure.
They want to move for the job title. They want an experience. They want to be themselves. They all of that. Yet, have they lost the discipline of turning up on time? Have they lost the discipline of coming into the office when needed? Have they lost the discipline of, playing to their strengths, but actually doing the role that they've been born in to do?
Well, I mean, I have a mixed view on this. As you know, from my perspective, there's a lot to be said about success and discipline and conscientiousness.
Yes.
They're the two most important factors for success in any aspect of life.
Yeah.
And, those traits are really important.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if we're really being inclusive and we're really embracing, the differences between generations, why can't they set a pathway for them to show what, achievement looks like for them?
Yes.
And we're certainly seeing that, in the way that, organizations are designed today, in the way that organizations are embracing the community. And we're seeing leaders of different shapes and, I guess, educations as well. So I find that this is probably the time where you can redefine those things and what success looks like.
Yes.
But what underpins that is, and maybe for many workplaces, that discipline, the conscientiousness, these traits are still important. And for many organizations, it's part of those brands.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
High performing teams.
you
Yeah.
take those things as part of the service or what the brand delivers or what the product delivers. And so, discipline, conscientiousness are certainly here to stay.
Yes.
But from a Gen Z perspective, certainly solving the problem and the outcomes are more important for them.
More important.
Yeah, and same with the meeting.
And we might not solve this morning, but one of the things that I sort of struggle with is, what about being all in to where you're at?
Yeah.
All in and doing the job that you're in as best as you can, and believing that you will be valued and rewarded, maybe unexpectedly, because of the impact that you're making, rather than spreading yourself so thin with all these multiple side hustles, because they don't finish a book, they watch 5 series at once, they don't pause for an ad break, they don't wait to cook a meal, it gets delivered. Like, why is that fragmented approach better than all in, a set, no plan B?
Well, look, I think there's a saturation thing, from a Gen Z perspective.
Yeah.
You've got multiple channels digitally. You've got information coming through. We know that there's, research confirming that the attention span is shortened. We're now moving from, short, 20-minute kind of, learning modules to now 3 or 4 minute, sound bites, things like this.
Yeah.
Everything's trying to grab their attention, and there's a hyper focus then on multiple things and value and worth. So I can't say, hey, don't be challenged by those things, don't be embracing those opportunities, because they're in a position where there are multiple channels.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of Gen Z thrive whereby they do have multiple side hustles.
Yeah.
They're creating that financial freedom.
Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily need to be financial freedom on a large scale. It could be, hey, this unlocks 5 hours or 2 days of my week to be able to do the things that I'm passionate about.
Yes. Yeah. Fantastic.
And so certainly not something that I've considered as part of my career.
Yeah.
My career
I
span,
admire it too.
Yeah. My career span involved an equation of 9 to 5.
Yes.
And then I do things outside of that. So, and that's just one example of the many kind of conflicting agendas that may be there for Gen Z. So I think it can be a very confusing time for them.
Yeah.
I think there's certainly some imposter syndrome that comes to pass, especially coming into the workforce.
Yeah. And
then finding out where they fit in.
Yes.
And they're only very early in their career.
Yes.
And so part of this I find is great. They're coming in to challenge some of the norms.
Yeah.
They're coming in with some great demands that generations before didn't have. So I don't see it as being a generational problem. I think as leaders today, or as individuals in the workplace, you have to consider that having all these generations in your workplace and in your workforce is a leadership challenge, not so much a generational issue.
Totally. And it's almost like the shades of grey. Like, as a leader, nothing can be black, white, or command and control. Like, long gone. It's the nuances and the shades of grey in between, isn't it? That makes a really blended, dynamic team. So then I just wanted to talk about performance, actually. So if you've got attracted, retained, engaged team, we were talking about the old, it says old-fashioned, but maybe the corporate performance reviews once a quarter, once every 6 months. Totally dead in the water. Thank goodness.
Yes.
I mean, I can't believe there are many organizations that are still doing formal performance reviews to then, have a track record for the last quarter that wasn't where they want it to be, to reset for the next quarter. I mean, that's gone.
Yeah.
Feedback.
I think, like anything, organizations need to define what that looks like for them. And we have to accept that some organizations are at the one end of the spectrum, where real-time feedback is given across the organization on multiple channels, which probably give me anxiety if I'm getting.
I was just thinking about it.
Anxiety.
Tea and someone's like, I just want to say, you'd be like,
Yeah. I think if I'm getting real-time feedback on a day-to-day, week to week basis, that might give me a little bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
It may certainly improve my performance and make me aware of some of my biases and certainly help me to do better. So that's great. On the other side, it's still a skill that many organisations are helping their workforces develop. You know, how to have those difficult conversations, how to have that empathy and discussion, and how to engage and certainly support multiple generations through their career. So I still feel that there's room for those things.
Yes.
But certainly the Gen Z are, hey, you know, self-actualization, you know, it's about how I'm performing, how am I meeting or exceeding expectations? What is the next opportunity for me? What's the next problem to solve? And I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I think if they're coming to you with, hey, this is how I bring value to the organization, these are my skills, I'm actively, you know, upskilling myself.
Yeah.
I think if we fast forward a few years, they could be the most highly skilled generation simply by the amount of information that they're consuming.
Yes.
So that, again, may change the workplace. And once you embed things like automation through AI, you know, that again will take it to another level. So they may be in a place where they're going to solve problems we haven't even conceptualized today.
Love that.
But I do hear you. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, they will redefine what feedback looks like for the organization. And if you're wanting to retain them, then yes, you know, weekly, daily feedback, reinforcement, receiving feedback, asking them for that feedback as well is really important. To them. And certainly we as leaders need to be adaptable to understand that motivates them. And that brings meaning to them.
Brings meaning to them, because from what I've observed, they want to actually make an impact. So it's measuring whether their work is making an impact. So let's check whether it is or not. And I mean, how fantastic is that?
Well,
rather than just doing your work, it's sort of like, what's the impact on that?
Well, it is a huge one. But from a leadership perspective, it sounds overwhelming. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, true.
How do I keep up with the feedback loop? Right? And,
true.
And then I'm getting that feedback as well. So it means that I need to be open to that. And it can be a strength and a development area. And certainly for many leaders, it'll be confronting. And I think without those conversations, there's no progress. And so you come into that grey area where, you know, there will be that need for organizations to be transparent and clear about how they give the feedback and provide that psychological safety. And I certainly, without prompting, get feedback, you know, in my day-to-day life and even from my children. I get great feedback and coaching and all the rest of it. And I think it's a great thing. And that means that we'll be, you know, in workplaces that are highly communicative. And
nice.
You know, if that translates into solving the problem faster, if it means actually getting to the problem, if it means that you know, our workforce has become far more united in terms of meaning and purpose, then you know there's some great benefits. And that's driven by this generation.
Amazing. Okay. And so AI in the workplace. No, hopefully I'm not. You had an amazing quote about it's not. Do you remember the one?
I don't know. Okay, I'll try. You know, people are fearful about AI replacing them. But it's really going to replace people who are not using AI.
Love that.
But I guess before we talk about that from an AI perspective, you know, AI and delving into this, I think it's important, you know, for leaders and everyone to understand that you just got to have a plan. I don't think people are expecting that every organization is going to adopt the latest AI or automation technology and what have you. You know, there are constraints, financial, workplace resources, you know, that organizations need to manage. What I would be saying is be clear about what you're going to commit to. And from an AI perspective, what are the programs that you're going to invest in? What are the roles you're going to invest in and change? At what level will it impact your workplace? And I believe if you do that up front, then you may find that the generations will start to adopt this, but also look at how they can support that narrative. And, you know, certainly in my experience, you know, there are many organizations who are still grappling with the role of AI. And the reason being is, you know, many ask the question, hey, you know, what's AI? strategy or
Yeah.
how we're utilizing AI. Well, it's too late. We're already using it day to day. It's permeated every aspect of our life, every
Certainly as
aspect of our
individuals.
lives.
Yeah.
And I certainly use it for multiple things on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And with that means that there's already AI permeating your workplace.
Yeah.
And so organizations need to play catch up with that because the digital literacy is actually improving through that process as well. No doubt you're seeing a proliferation of AI through applications,
Yes.
emails, all of those things. In fact, a compliment I got on an email was one that I utilized with AI.
Yeah.
So it's the only compliment I've ever received. So there you go. It wasn't even me. But we know it works.
Yeah.
And we know people are using it.
Yeah.
And people have an acceptance of that. And so if you're sitting here as a leader thinking about, what your AI strategy is and what have you, I think you have to accept that it's here.
Yeah.
How do you cultivate in a way that leads to performance and outcomes that are aligned with your business?
Yeah.
But also, what are the risks? What are the boundaries that you want to engage with?
Yeah.
And how do you educate those individuals with that? Right?
It's interesting. My first 10 years in recruitment were business-facing technology roles, actually. And then there was the whole, so chief information officers, chief technology officers, still really fantastic connections in that space. And then it became chief digital officers, and chief information officers saying, well, what's the role of a chief digital officer? And then it became digitalization of everything,
Yes.
And now it's like AI will stop being a thing. It will just be a tool for absolutely everything. So it's not it's just a tool for, that we all have to be using.
Embracing,
Yeah.
And it's the same with how we mine the data landscape.
Yes.
Right? With AI.
Yeah.
What are the, just like the workplace experience or, life cycle, what are the moments that matter for every generation? It's the same with what's the most important data.
Yeah.
We have, there's certainly studies that confirm this, that we've consumed more data in the last 10 years than the previous 100, and that will continue to accelerate. In all honesty, I'm probably overwhelmed by the amount of data that, I'm presented with now when I engage in research and things like this. And AI certainly helped me to cultivate and, bring down some clarity on, hey, what are the 3 or 4 biggest impacts that I need to be considering?
As long as you're asking the right place, because what I've noticed is I always used to get told, you come up with great questions, but be really careful who you ask the question to.
Yes.
Because 50% of it's the question, 50% is, does that person actually know any more about that than you? Or are they just going to tell you what you want to hear? And the same with AI, you can put the right prompt in, but it's like you actually have to go to the source of truth rather than the algorithm just feeding to you what you already know.
Yeah. And so your critical reasoning around it's the importance, or I guess how good the question is.
Yes.
And so your ability is now reinforced not by the amount of data that you can find, it's the questions that you're asking.
Yes.
And so as AI continues to improve everyone's performance through the way that it fetches data, so to speak, in simple terms, it means that everyone's level of information and knowledge will improve.
Yeah.
But the difference between us will be who is asking the tougher question or the most insightful question or the right question.
Yes.
And so even in your interaction with, the AI tools at your fingertips, like ChatGPT and so on, the answers that you get are highly reliant on the type of questions that you ask.
Yes. Yeah.
And that can be certainly polarizing on many different topics.
Yeah.
And especially if you're taking guidance in terms of workplace initiatives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So known by fact, CBA is the most technology advanced, one of the most technology advanced companies in Australia in terms of adopting AI. The middle management level is the one level that's had been adopting it less. Okay. So actually in terms of generation, it was the Gen Z and the baby boomers. Maybe that's because baby boomers have less going on in their life, have more time. I don't know, to actually upskill and learn. And, my parents are brilliant on AI because they've really, lent in and, got into it. And then, our children, we were saying, straight into it. I mean, it worries me. kids dating will be going, what do I say on first date? And then the other person saying, what do I say on the first date? And it's actually, like you said, ChatGPT going on the first date, not the actual two people.
Yes,
Like,
yes, and they'll be
go to the
interacting.
toilet, put the question in, what should I say? Going back. It's like crazy what could.
Yeah, and it's permeated our lives, and that's a great example. I find that the leaders that will navigate this well are those that are highly adaptable, those that create psychological safety. So the ability to say, hey, try it, engage with it in a safe manner, and if you make mistakes, that's fine. This is how we, educate our workplace in terms of adopting this type of technology. And Gen Z is certainly a great vehicle to support that adoption, as we've talked about before. And that's that reverse mentoring, and that brings meaningful, aspect to their work.
Yes.
And for me, that's the future of work. If you can utilize the generation to do that, then, you'll get progress.
Yeah.
I find the other generations, like anything new and anything that's, moving at this pace, it comes with confidence, it comes with education, and it comes with just helping people feel assured that it's your acquisition of this skill that's going to continue to make you valuable in the workplace.
Yes.
Not so much that, there's an inherent need to look at, hey, we're wanting AI to replace roles.
Yeah.
Certainly, it will just change the way we work.
Yes.
It will help us to look and define different problems and different aspects of work we need to focus on.
Yeah. You have got me so excited about the future of work. I'm genuinely excited. And I go, when Gen Z are going to become our future leaders, it will be a really fantastic time because of what they've had to navigate in their shorter lives than ours. The speed and pace at which their problem solving skills have had to develop, the fact that they're so data led, the fact that they're confident and concise around the way that they interact, the future's looking bright.
It is looking very bright. And like I said, from a leadership perspective, the challenge there, and you should embrace it, is that you have multiple generations in your workforce. That's a great place to be. It means that you'll have that differentiation in terms of thought, problem solving, experience. And it means that also you can look to inspire Gen Z as they look to solve problems we haven't thought about.
Yeah.
And for myself, it's, I can't wait to see what will they create. And certainly they're doing it at a pace that, I may not be able to keep up with.
You will, Patrick. You'll be running alongside them.
I would be trying to keep up. But,
yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
And especially when I see, the younger generation embracing,
yes.
The knowledge, even from a mental health perspective, they're far more articulate in that space. And we have
so good.
Wonderful. We have AI, and we have all of those channels to thank for that. And we have a Gen Z population, like you said, that are 1 in 5 in the workforce now, that are bringing rise to improved mental health awareness across the workplace.
Yeah.
So that also will improve leadership in the future.
Yeah.
And it'll improve our workplaces, in terms of how work and well-being can go hand in hand with purpose, values, and performance.
Amazing. Thank you so, so much. I've absolutely loved that. So I'm sure the people who've joined us have too. Complex subject, but really rewarding and stimulating, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun, and thanks for, entertaining me on a Friday afternoon. It's been awesome. And for everyone that's listening, there's a lot to embrace. Our strengths can also be our weaknesses.
Yeah.
But how do we multiply all the positive things that the generations can bring to our workforce? And I think if we focus on those things and we include them and we give them all a voice, we certainly will be getting progress, and we'll get some great outcomes together.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so, so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily.